All right, Kendra, now we're going to take a look at your underwater view. We just took a look at your upper overwater view. A lot of good things, but things to work on. As we're swimming the butterfly from the underwater view, this is a great position to be in. It's kind of the thing that I look for on a lot of athletes, and I think a lot of coaches who talk about butterfly look for these things. So your head and shoulder is lower than the hands, and that's lower than the hip, and then you create that power triangle that we talk about in butterfly, the inverted triangle in terms of the fly stroke. Nice finish of the kick. So that really looks classic. That's a very good position to be in terms of your fly stroke, and exactly where I'd want it to be on any athlete. And as you're coming in and the hands turn, very good, into your catch, and pulling yourself into your breath. Okay, would like to see the angle. If I back up a little bit, we have to get a little bit quicker to get the elbows up a little bit. So when you're coming here, the elbows need to be up just a little bit more, so the hands, the forearms, are a little bit more angled towards the back wall. Yours are pushing you up a little bit still. So this is the angle you have, and I want it, it's still going to push a little up, but it's going to be pushing you forward, so it's turned a little bit. So if you get the elbow up a little bit, it's going to be in a better position to actually push you forward at the start of your catch, and that just needs to happen a little earlier on your stroke. And you'd be a little more vertical at this point too, and you can see the elbows leading the way a little bit still. And if you were a little earlier with it, your elbow would be in this position you're in, your hand would be flatter and pushing you straight forward or pushing back towards the wall, so that would push you in the forward position a lot better. So you're just trailing a little bit, leading with those elbows a little bit. And I think that's what caused, we talked about the finish of the stroke, and you can just see your elbows are finishing out of the water, so your hand is coming out a little bit too early. So this is where your hand is. Would like to see your hand finish back here with a straighter elbow. If that elbow wasn't leading as much, the hand was even with it, you would get a little bit further back in your stroke for the finish of your stroke, and then that would set up better, I think, for the arms being a little lower on the recovery, as we were talking about on your other part of the video. But your entry is nice in front of the shoulders. You're not going out too wide. Got a good position to really gain power from. Pulling underneath the body. Maybe could be a little closer at this point, but again, I think if your elbows aren't leading the way as much, if you're getting a little bit more of that vertical forearm before this point, and if we back it up a couple frames, we're here on that vertical forearm, so the elbows with the hands at this point, and I'll draw that line. I think it would put you in a better position to push through on that stroke and get those hands just a little closer underneath the body. But again, that's just a little bit of something to improve. It's not that terrible. It's really good how you're doing it. So, but then finishing through the stroke a little bit more. Eyes here are great. Both kicks, you're getting good bend of the knee and good power from your kick. So again, we just want to finish the stroke towards your leg a little bit further back in the stroke, and get those arms on the recovery to be a little bit lower. Coming into the turn, I watched this from above and below a little bit ago, and really you have some of the better mechanics on your turn that I see. You might be rotating a little quickly, but right into your side view, again, I would just like to see your arm at this point maybe just a little higher, so elbow there, and then the hand a little bit more up, so you're getting into that streamline a little quicker. But that's about what I can say on your turn. I think your mechanics are really good. Your feet are high on the wall to the side, and that's perfect, pointing in the perfect direction. So we want the toes slightly up and the heels on the wall high, and that gets you in a good position to push off the wall. I think it could be a little deeper though. You hit the wall and you're pushing off at this angle. When I watch, Gabby and some other flyers as they push off the wall, they're getting to this depth here, 5 or 6 feet underwater at this point, and so it's just a little bit deeper angle. And from what I can tell, it's faster on the kick out if you can get that depth. Here, with athletes swimming towards the wall, and including yourself swimming towards the wall, you're getting a little too much of the wake coming in if you're at that angle pushing off the wall. So a little deeper would help your kick out. Nice snap on the kicks. Finishing below the knee, below the hips with your kicks, so that's really nice. They can be a little bit faster towards the end. You want to accelerate towards the finish, towards the breakout stroke. But that looks really nice. So again, just exiting the water on that stroke, and I'll back up to it a little bit. You can just see how early these hands are exiting the water with you leading with that elbow. So you're not even back at the suit, and the hands are trying to exit the water at that point. That's a great area for you to improve on. And again, get that vertical forearm a little bit earlier. Keep the elbows in plane with the hands so that they come back through the hips a little bit further down your leg rather than coming out that early. And that will help you power forward a little bit better and also get that proper line on the recovery of the arms. But very good, Kendra, and we'll talk about this stuff and work on it in practice.